From butterscotch, bubblegum, green candy, apples, and raspberry pie, to mud in your eye, we do or we die. Slimy brown leeches and star-bellied sneeches and snakes with one eye, whose stations got high, with you on top of the hill singing out to whatever I want. You'll take whatever I got. I'll do whatever. You feel much better, and whether you feel it or not, the cards that you're playing, their faces keep changing with whiskey and rye. In the blink of an eye, will you or will I? Rhapsody wavering, symphony quavering, notes that slide by, tears that won't dry. A flood run up to the hill singing out to whatever I want. You'll take whatever I got. I'll do whatever, and you'll feel much better, and whether you feel it or not, I'll do whatever I want. You'll take whatever I got. I'll do whatever, and you'll feel much better, and whether you feel it or not, I'll do whatever, and you'll feel much better, and whether you feel it or not. Thank you to my guest xylophonist, and welcome to The Human Show, episode 3. This one is called Ascending Like Flies, and the theme of the show today is celebrating the release of the newest Ladyscissors video. That's a band I play drums in and sing, along with Brent George on guitar and Bull on bass and vocals, Lori Herkis-Dwyer on guitar and vocals, and a bunch of people in this room, etc., are featured in the video. But The Human Show is a new monthly interview variety show that I'm doing here at Cafe Coda, Madison's beautiful Willie Street neighborhood, once a month, second Thursday of every month. Next month, the theme is Home Springs Eternal, and we'll be hearing from our neighborhood historian, Gary Tipler, and interviewing Cafe Coda's very own Hannah John Taylor, and reflecting on our home here. So today is Ascending Like Flies, and each human show I start with a song that relates to the theme of the show, and that song that I just played was Star Belly, and invited some guests to play xylophone. Thanks, Kat and Andrew, for their first time ever doing that on that. And that's the theme of today, is playing, singing, dancing together, and improvising our way to living better in this world as a human family. And that song, Star Belly, is a song that I wrote during a particularly contentious time in local politics, and it's about sort of the current political climate in this country and how it's been most of my life like a game of Pong, like this game of Pong. Bing, 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 bing. So I'm looking forward to getting out of the mode of backlash, and so anyhow, this song, Ascending Like Flies, deals with some themes like that, and you'll hear an interview between me and the camera person, and we'll hear from a couple of the other people in the video, and then I'm going to play a set of music that relates to this. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the new Ladyscissors video, Ascending Like Flies.
To the left and they left, to the right and they shot through the air, but they had no aim. And we were squirming like worms, ascending like flies. Going down this way, defeating the goons, defending the prize. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. When we had our fun in the last party goers and run away. We hop to the left and we sway, to the right and we drink, to the winning of our last game. And we were holding our ears and shaking our eyes. I remember going down this way, with salt in our earth, the stars in our skies. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. When all is said and done, and the last storyteller has gone astray, we look to the left and we search, to the right and we find we've been squandering our good name, and we were fading our breath at the heavenly skies. Going down this way, hiding our smile and burning our eyes. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. And when we had our fun and the lost ones started the night away, we are holding our ears and we're shading our eyes and debating our breath for a happy surprise. When all is said and done and the last one started the heart this way, we're the story to tell is the game that we play, and we're totally fair, but we have no shame, and we were salt in the earth, the stars in the skies. Tomorrow, still a day away, squirming like worms, ascending like flies.
We're going to have an interview with Brian Standing. Oh, right. I forgot about the outtakes at the end. Yeah, we'll go right to an interview with Brian. Hi, I'm here with Brian Standing, who did the camera work for the Ladyscissors video, Ascending Like Flies, and we're going to chat a bit about the video process and interview each other a little bit. And first, I would love to hear, who are you, Brian Standing? What is your life like?
Oh man, that's a question I ask myself all the time. Who are you, Brian Standing? What is your life like? You know, I do a lot of different things. I've been active in the community for, you know, many years. We moved here in 1998, 1997, 98, I think. And really liked Madison. Bounced around for a while. I'm originally from upstate New York and New York City and those kinds of places, and loved the vibe of Madison. Loved being on a narrow strip of land between two beautiful lakes and having access to a lot of good stuff. And I've met some really cool people here. One of the first things I did when I got into town is I ended up volunteering at WRT. I heard a news broadcast about the construction of the Monona Terrace, and they were interviewing some people standing outside with horns who were trying to blow it down with trumpets. And I thought that was great. Said, I want to be a part of that. So I've been involved with WRT since I've gotten here in one way or another. And I currently host the Monday 8 o'clock buzz, which is great. It's one of the highlight of my weeks. I get to sit down for an hour with three fascinating people from all around the world and talk to them about stuff. And that's pretty cool. I live here on the Near East Side. My wife, Lisa Nunez, does a lot of work with the Social Justice Center. She's doing some circus stuff. She works at the library. My son, Shay, is into music. He's 20 now, and so he's been doing a lot of producing in his home. Those are the important things in my life. I also do, for money, I work for the County Department of Planning and Development. And we've got a neat project we're working on right now, which is a nonpartisan redistricting commission that's looking to change the way the county board draws its supervisory district maps. And we're going to be trying to reach out to people a little bit later this year about what is a community and what is your community and how do you define it and how do you map it, with an idea that, when we draw those new districts, that we can try and honor what people's perceptions of their communities are. So that's some of who I am. I've also done some video production work, both, sort of semi-professionally, but also worked in a number of documentaries. I had, 6 or 7 feature-length docs that we took around to film festivals and things like that. And those have always been great. Lately, I've been doing a lot less of that just because as I get older, editing gets harder and harder for me. So I'm happy to shoot things, but cutting together 60 hours of video footage, to produce a 1.5 hour long documentary is just beyond my attention span these days.
I hear you. Well, that's why this works so beautifully. I love video editing, and you came and shot some beautiful footage for us.
That was so much fun. Thank you for including me in that project.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think I first met you probably shortly after you got to Madison. You were doing work on the Jim Taylor for President campaign.
Yeah, Jim Taylor was a college buddy of mine. We were college roommates in Boston back in the late 80s. So what's that, 40 years ago now? And he had always talked about, gee, we never hear about all these other presidential candidates who are running. He went up to New Hampshire, I think in '92, and there was like hundreds of people on the ballot, hundreds. It's like you never heard of any of them. It's like, so well, who are these people? So we talked the idea around and said, yeah, someday maybe someone should make a documentary about that. And then I had some time off after grad school, and I called him up and said, if we're ever going to do it, we're going to do it now. And it was the '96 elections, and Jim decided that a good frame for the documentary would be, we did Subdue the Universe in '96, and that was looking at all these lesser known candidates. It was before, when the media really had a stranglehold on that kind of discussion. This is pre-internet, right? So these people were really invisible in a way that today it's kind of hard to remember how invisible they really were, because you only could see what was being reported to you on CBS and NBC and ABC and that kind of stuff. And so we went to New Hampshire and shot Subdue the Universe, and interviewed all kinds of crazy people, including Vermin Supreme and all sorts of candidates who were running for election. And then 4 years went by, and Jim decided, okay, let's do it again. But this time he wanted to run for president. And so that was after I'd moved to Madison. And his campaign slogan in that race, which was the 2000 race, was "Because everything is crappy." And wanted to try and offer an alternative to the sort of crappy, middling politics that we'd all been familiar with. And yeah, I think at that point, I was trying to reach out to people who were politically connected, particularly with alternate politics. And I think that's probably when I reached out to you, Stephanie, for your, the work that you've done with Time Bank and alternate economies and Green Party kinds of politics. And so, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds probably right when we first met.
Because everything is crappy, because that had already been taken. That's why Trump had to make his MAGA slogan. Otherwise,
yeah. Yeah, we would have sued for copyright infringement, I'm sure. So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about the music and the band. I mean, thank you for inviting me to participate in it. I love the final product. That was a great day. When you showed the video and you shared a sneak preview of it, I shared it with some of my friends who participated in it, and they said, "Wow, what a nice reminder of when we could all be together and dance." And it really was. It was one of those last great in-person events that we were able to have. And I love Stephanie. I've always loved your music. I've enjoyed your solo stuff, for years, and I liked a lot of the stuff you did with your mom's standard rock outfit back in the day. And this was sort of my introduction to Ladyscissors, and this particular song really struck me, "Ascending Like Flies." And I love the lyrics. They're very sort of abstract. They sound kind of fairy tale-ish. And yet I get the impression that there was a sort of specific incident, or at least a specific memory, that inspired that song. And I was wondering, what was that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's more an archetype of incidents and specific incidents at this point. I wrote that song right after doing a media training with Laura Flanders, actually. A group that I did a fellowship with. It was called Bali at the time, and now it's Common Future. Hosted a fellowship, and then Laura Flanders of the Laura Flanders Show did a media training for us. And there was a lot about keeping control of your own narrative, and a lot about in that training, and just in things that I learn and read about in general, about knowing your history, knowing history of political movements, and being, especially to identify divide and conquer kinds of dynamics. So yeah, the song is really about that. And yeah, it starts off once upon a time in a land very foreign and far away, and that's all kind of tongue in cheek, because it's here and now and all around us in all kinds of examples. Yeah, and at the end it's saying we find we've been squandering our good name and all that stuff. So it's just really about resisting divide and conquer, learning what's happening in what has happened in political movements, and continuing to improve on that learning and stay together and dance it out.
And squirming like worms and ascending like flies. Is that an optimistic message, or is it a cynical one?
It is a very optimistic message. So I will say that the song itself, there are backing vocals that says, "I remember going down this way." So again, like paying attention to how you got taken down before. "I remember going down this way, feeling it was only yesterday." So like reflecting and understanding it. And then it says, "Like tomorrow, still a day away." So to me, that's the hopeful part, because we haven't succumbed yet. And then squirming like worms and ascending like flies. Yeah, it's like growing up. And it's also a nod to the Pretenders. I'm from Akron, so it's where Chrissy Hind is from, so she's a hometown hero. And then on the
Going back
song
to Ohio.
Back on the Chain Gang, it says
Yeah.
descended like flies.
Okay.
And then when I was just thinking of it, yeah, I was thinking about squirming like worms and ascending like flies. So yeah, it's hopeful. It's about, and it's actually, um, yeah, it feels like a companion song to a solo song that I've been playing that feels like it's really coming true lately, called Up the Wall. And the end of that song says, if you could admit that you are still a child, you could still grow tall. And it all just reflects my belief that we as the human species right now are like hopefully getting about to get past an adolescent phase. Um, we need to get past an adolescent phase, and we need to recognize that we really have a lot of growing up to do. I don't mean this is like everybody but me. I mean me and everybody, and how we live together collectively in this world. Like, it's time to grow up. So
We're a
that's
young
that's a
species for
hopeful
sure.
message of ascending like flies.
The other thing that was great fun about shooting the video, we shot the video in two parts, and the first was sort of a impromptu joint dance lesson, let's call it that. Um, and we had to recruit some people at the last minute, I think, who it had not necessarily planned on showing up to do that. But how did that, where did that image come from in your head?
Oh, so that's the part about dancing it out. And actually, it goes back to another piece when I'm talking about learning from history and how we communicate and tell our stories. Lori Herkis Dwyer, another Ladyscissors, she's featured prominently in the video. She and I went on a trip to the UK a few years ago, and we happened on this program, this amazing show called 3 Acres and a Cow. And it was a man, there's a group of people who do this, and they tell the history of England and its enclosures, like back to I think around 1000 or AD or even earlier. But they talk about the history of the land being conquered, of enclosures being created, of people being separated from the land, and then the musical tradition of how people would communicate through music, and create their political resistance and communicate their political resistance that way. So it was a really cool thing. Like, here was the enclosure movement, here's the resistance music, here's the impact it had. That was actually where I learned that the term mob came from a beautiful, very peaceful and orderly political action that people used to take to keep food from being privatized. I
Really?
think I think if I remember right, a mob, um, there was like there was some sort of standard practice, and I think it was required that food was made available in a very accessible way, in villages. But then some people would come and buy up the food and then sell it at a markup. And I think if I remember right, the mob arose as a group of people who showed up and made and prevented that from happening.
Wow.
And so then, yeah, it was just another example of, again, losing control of your narrative. So Lori and I had been reflecting on the need to like really embrace art more as a tool for political communication, for cultural communication. Um, and then that combined with other interests that I have with dance therapy, and I'm really interested in embodied methods of working through trauma. I've been learning about constellation work recently, which maybe we'll explore more in this show. Um, so yeah, it just like felt really appropriate for this song to have people dancing it out together, learning dances together. I wanted to show the learning process, and then having us learn from kids, and sharing us looking ridiculous as we learn. Like, that's all really part of the theme of the music. And
Yeah.
then you came in and saved us last minute too. A whole bunch of people were sick and weren't able to make it. We had expected to have a larger group of dancers, and we had a different choreographer lined up, and we had a different camera person lined up, and a whole bunch of people were sick. And it was so beautiful that you stepped up and I really had an image of the camera shots in my head, and they looked just like what I had pictured. So that was gorgeous. And then also Sam Scar stepped up and on the fly, with very little notice, made a dance and was a total trooper about teaching the dance to everyone. And then it is so lucky that we didn't cancel, because there was a certain amount of feeling like we should postpone. And thank God, because we got it in under the wire before the plague. And who knows, the next time we'll all be able to dance in a room together.
And I don't think anyone who was sick with COVID. I mean, we didn't even know what that was at that
We
point.
didn't know what it was.
So yeah, and one of the things that impressed me was the kids that you managed to pull into that, and putting them on the spot and telling them to teach people how to do a dance, including one really little kid who just took to it like, okay, yep, big crowd of adults, do what I tell you to. Where did you find such precocious and self-possessed children?
I'm just lucky, friends, friends of friends. So yeah, we'll hear a little bit more from Finn during this show. We have a little bit of an interview and a little bit of him showing his talents at the piano, and he's just a gregarious, enjoyable kid. And then Ty and Asia did like awesome dance moves and taught people a bunch of things. And then the kids on the trampoline, that was the other.
Well, that was the second part, and then we shot that separately at a friend's backyard where they had a trampoline. And where this idea I just found fascinating. I love the idea of life masks of the band, and you put them on little children bouncing up and down on a trampoline, and it's very surreal. That whole day was really strange because I felt like I was dealing with like little miniature child versions of the band, but yet they had these adult faces on. It was kind of odd. Where did that image come from? You had a very specific idea again of what you wanted, right? Which is great for, like a cameraman, because, I can ask you what are you looking for? And you can describe it in a way that actually makes some sense, which is awesome. I've worked with people who don't really know what they want, and you have to show them like lots of different things. So but you clearly had this very distinct image in your head. And where did that come from?
That morphed over time too, from a series of happy accidents, and maybe sharing it'll make it way too mundane. But the first thing that happened is I wanted us, the actual band members, to jump off of something high and film it and then run it backwards, so we would be ascending at the end. And then I was asking my friend, who's like a yoga teacher, if she could help us do it safely. She's like, no. And then my other bandmate's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then one of my bandmates, who I won't name, was like, little kids are really resilient. I will give the clue. It was the bandmate with a little kid. The little kid is not featured in the video, that particular little kid. So then we wanted little kids to, well, briefly, I thought we'd make dummies of ourselves and make those masks. So that was where the mask idea came in. And then it seemed really better to have little kids with our masks on. So we were going to take little kids to one of those jumping places, like I guess there are places with mats, and have them jump off of a really high thing. But those were all closed by the time we shot. And then it turned out our friends have a trampoline, and they're enough in one family on one pod that the kids can be together too. So yeah, so it shifted. Originally the vision wouldn't have been jumping on a trampoline, but that looks cool too. And it was super, super fun to see. And then Ivy is another star in this video, Ivy doing backflips on the trampoline. So yeah, we really lucked out with like some amazing child talent.
Yeah, and I remember the child wrangling was a little tricky because their attention spans are short and they don't understand why you need to set up a camera before they can start bouncing around. But Ivy, was practicing her backflips, and I remember thinking, man, I really want to get a picture of that from her point of view, and managed to pull that off. So that was a lot of fun.
That was great. Yeah, there's some awesome shots from Ivy's GoPro on her head.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today. And yeah, I think it's
Yeah, my pleasure. I look forward to the day when we can do it in person
yeah.
in front of a live audience. So hopefully we're heading towards that in the future. And I look forward to seeing many shows at Cafe Coda and elsewhere. And Stephanie, and seeing you perform live again. So looking forward to those days. But thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for the opportunity to participate in the video. It was great fun.
Thank you. Yeah, terrific fun, and we love the work you did. So take care. We'll
All
see you.
right.
Thank you, Brian, standing. And now we're going to hear very briefly from that tiny kid, Finn. It's an interview. It's kind of like the first review of the video.
Okay, do you remember the Ladyscissors video? Yes. Okay, do you remember the Ladyscissors video?
Yes.
What'd you think about it?
I think I just started what it was.
Yeah?
Yes.
What do you remember about what it was?
I think it was a little bit denser than the other dancing.
Denser than the other dancing?
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means that it's cool that we're not dancing for that song. It's dancing for that song.
There you go. Are you ascending like a fly now?
Yes.
And Finn will show his talents at the keyboard. Thank you, Brian and Finn and everyone who was in the video, and also we shot it at the Crucible Madison. I was going to interview some people about dance movement therapy and also the Black Panther Historical Project, and we're going to save those for later because things came up. But instead, I'm going to play a little set of music related to the theme. After that, we'll see the video again. Having heard about it, you'll get to see the dance move. Sam's here to teach it to all of us. So I'll encourage you to dance along at home. All right. So here's a little set of music just on the same theme as the song Ascending Like Flies. And a bit of a wonder why you needed so many things just to stay alive. Oh no, and a bit of a pass you by, and you were afraid to look them in the eye. Oh no, and you want to take them by the hand, but you'll have to take it on the chin. And you'll wonder after all this time why people don't know how to live. Oh no. And a bit did so many things just to feel alright. Oh no, anybody get you high just so they could twist your arm to make a buy. Oh no, and you ought to have them by the balls, but you have to have them in your house. And they'll wonder after all this time why you don't know how people live. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And if it went to you just stand there blinking when it's fight or flight. Oh no, and if you see that all you're doing is turning darkness into light. Oh no, and you want to take it on the road, but you'll have to take it underground. And you'll wander far and wide to find if people there know how to live. Or something. And if it ever went to why you needed so many things, and if it ever tell you why and you were afraid, and if it ever went to why, and if it ever went to why, and if it ever went to why. I don't want to work today and spoil all our fun. I don't want to work today and spoil all our groovy good old times. But I know how to work it if I show you yours and you can show me mine. I looked at my room today and blinked at what I saw. 1,000 little soldiers marching military up and down my hall. I looked out my window right into the gaping maw. When I spun around again, that I may have me backed against a wall. All the tea in China couldn't buy a place in line outside the fasten all your safety belts and hold on for a freaky, freaky fall. But first this roller coaster's gonna slow down to a creepy, creepy crawl. Write down all your wishes and submit them to the gently weeping wall. When I make that leap, I have to trust that you'll be there to break my fall. All the tea in China couldn't buy our place in line outside the. All the tea in China couldn't buy your place in line outside the. All the tea in China couldn't buy your place in line outside the. Maybe what you're wishing for is learning how to walk instead of crawl. Standing on each other's shoulders, you just might reach halfway up the wall. But if you can't admit that you are still a child, you could still grow tall. This next song is called Who Are You? And this has tended to be a favorite among Ladyscissors. This goes out to every Ladyscissor, individually and collectively. Yeah, that's all. Who are you? Who are you supposed to love? And when will they appear? Who stole our hearts? Who stole our minds? Who are you supposed to love? And when will they appear? Who stole our hearts? Who stole our minds? We kneel down before you and pray for better weather. And though we adore you, you always make it snow. Who The turnaround. So that was a little set in honor of all of us dancing and singing together. So either we'll do one sing along and then we'll dance and see the video, or we'll just dance and see the video. Are you ready to learn a dance move and see the video again, or should we do one song that you're welcome to sing on first? All right, we're gonna sing a song. If you have a wine glass, you could play your wine glass as well. And Kat, oh no, you guys weren't in this play. Andrew, you were. This is a song from, actually it's another interview that I will do sometime. This theater thing called Are We Delicious here in town, where they pair people up randomly, playwrights and musicians, and you have 1 week to make a piece of musical theater together. So I had the honor of doing this with Kat for a Kafka thing, and this is my very first one, and it fits totally with the theme of everyone singing. So it's kind of sung around, and you can make up your own harmonies, and if you know any of the other words, I just didn't want to write them all on the board because it was noisy and tedious. So see, those are some of the words, and you can ring those, you can play those little xylophones if you feel like it too. So yeah, I'll start singing and just sing along with me or make a harmony, however you like to do it. Oh, thank you. Oh, you made that so beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, now we're ready to have one more showing of the video. Sam, do you want to show us a few of the basic moves before we start? Anyone who knows the dance or thinks you might remember a bit or just wants to, like, just stand up and dance if you want to. And should I play the song? Do you want to just do it with the video? Yeah, Sam will demonstrate the moves with the video. So you want to just play the video again like that, and we'll do it together, and then we can do the end of the show. And thank you, everyone, for being part of the Human Show. Oh, Ricky's up. All right.
Squirming like worms, ascending like flies. Going down the slope, defeating the goons, defending the prize. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. When we had our fun and the last party goers and run away, we hopped to the left and we swayed to the right and we drank to the winning of our last game, and we were holding our ears and shaking our eyes. I remember going down the slope, the salt in our earth, the stars in our sky. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. When all is said and done and the last storyteller has gone astray, we look to the left and we search to the right and we find we've been squandering our good name, and we were fading our breath at the heavenly skies. Going down the slope, hiding our smile and burning our eyes. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. And when we had our fun and the lost ones parted the night away, we are holding our ears and we're shading our eyes and we're bathing our breath for a happy surprise. When all is said and done and the last one started the heart this way, we're the story to tell and the game that we play, and we're totally fair and we have no shame, and we were salt in the earth, the stars in the skies. Tomorrow, still a day away. Swimming like worms, ascending like flies. To the left and they left, to the right and they shot through the air, but they had no aim, and we were squirming like worms, ascending like flies. Going down the slope, defeating the goons, defending the prize. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. When we had our fun and the last party goers and run away, we hopped to the left and we swayed to the right and we drank to the winning of our last game, and we were holding our ears and shaking our eyes. I remember going down the slope, the salt in our earth, the stars in our sky. It was only yesterday, like search to the right and we find we've been squandering our good name, and we were fading our breath at the heavenly skies. Going down the slope, hiding a smile, averting our eyes. It was only yesterday, like tomorrow, still a day away. And when we had our fun and the lost one started the night away, we are holding our ears and we're shading our eyes and we're bathing our breath for a happy surprise. When all is said and done and the last one started the heart this way, we're the story to tell is the game that we play, and we're totally bare and we have no shame, and we were salt in the earth, the stars in the skies. Tomorrow's still a day away, swimming like worms, ascending like eyes.